The boarding gate buzzed with impatience. Rolling suitcases thumped over tile. A baby cried somewhere near the windows. Business travelers tapped at phones. Already halfway into meetings that hadn't started yet, seat 12F boarded last. Marcus. Alan stepped onto the plane holding his 6-year-old daughter's hand. Ava's backpack was nearly bigger than her, stuffed with crayons, snacks, and the stuffed bear she refused to sleep without. Marcus carried everything else, 2 bags slung over one shoulder, exhaustion etched into his face. "Daddy, is this our plane?" Ava whispered. "This is it, sweetheart," he said softly. "Almost there." The flight attendant glanced at their boarding passes. Her smile flickered polite, thin, practiced. "Row 12, she said, already turning away. "No welcome. Number, help." Marcus nodded and walked down the aisle as passengers stared, annoyed by the delay. He felt it, the silent judgment. A black man flying economy with a child, moving too slow, taking up too much space. He ignored it. He always did. Seat 12F was a window seat. Ava climbed in eagerly, pressing her face to the glass. "Daddy, we're so high already." Marcus smiled. Despite the weight in his chest, he stowed the bags, buckled her in, then took the middle seat beside her. The aisle passenger never looked up. As the plane filled, drinks were served. Smiles were given generously to first class. Laughter floated. Back from the front, row 12 was skipped. Marcus didn't say anything. Ava tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, can I have juice?" He scanned the aisle. The cart was already past them. "It's okay," he said quietly. "I've got one." He pulled a small juice box from his bag and handed it to her. She smiled. "Yet, the best." Those words hit him harder than she knew. The engines hummed louder as the plane taxied. Marcus leaned back and closed his eyes for just a second. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He frowned, but answered quietly. "Hello." There was a pause. Then a familiar, professional voice. "Falcon Tunanor, this is Eagle Atchor, you're on board." Marcus straightened slightly. Affirmative. Ava looked at him, "Daddy." He smiled gently. "Just work stuff." "Baby." The man in the aisle seat glanced over, confused. Marcus lowered his voice. "I'm in seat 12F. Another pause. "Then copy that. Sit tight." The call ended. Marcus slipped his phone away as the plane lined up on the runway. "Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff." The aircraft accelerated. Ava squeezed his hand, eyes wide with excitement. "We're flying." Marcus squeezed back. "We sure are." At 30,000 feet, the seatbelt sign turned off. The cabin relaxed. Drinks resumed. Laptops opened. Conversations picked up. Stu. No one came to row 12. Marcus didn't mind. He was used to being invisible until the intercom clicked on. "Ladies and gentlemen," the captain's voice came through, calm and steady. "This is Captain Reynolds speaking from the flight deck." Passengers looked up, half listening. "We'd like to take a moment to recognize a very special guest on board today." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. "In seat 12F. The captain continued, "We have a fellow aviator flying with us." The cabin stirred. "A decorated combat pilot," the voice said. "Call sign Falcon 2 Anar." Silence. Heads turned. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. The captain's voice softened. "Sir, it's an honor to have you flying with us today." Then something unexpected happened. The cockpit door opened. 2 pilots stepped out. They walked down the aisle together, past stunned passengers. Stopping at row 12, they stood tall and saluted. Every conversation on the plane stopped. Marcus stood instinctively, heart pounding. One pilot spoke quietly but firmly. "Thank you for your service, sir." Ava's mouth fell open. "Daddy." Marcus swallowed hard. "Yes, baby, you're a pilot." He knelt to her level. "I used to fly jets for the Air Force." The aisle passenger stared. "Wait, what?" The pilots turned to Ava and smiled. "Your dad is a hero." Marcus shook his head slightly. "Just did my job." One of the pilots smiled knowingly. "That's what heroes say." Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then thunderous. People who hadn't noticed Marcus before now stood, clapping. Some wiped their eyes. Others looked down, ashamed. The flight attendant rushed over, flustered. "Sir, we'd like to offer you an upgrade to first class." Marcus looked at Ava. She clutched his hand tightly. "It's okay," he said calmly. "We're fine right here." The captain's voice returned over the intercom. "Falcon 29 flew over 60 combat missions," he said. He also raised his daughter alone after losing his wife in service to this country. A hush fell. Ava leaned into Marcos. "Mommy was brave too." Marcos nodded, eyes shining. She was the bravest. The pilot saluted once more, then returned to the cockpit. As the plane settled back into its rhythm, everything had changed. The flight attendant returned with snacks. "For both of you, anything you need." Passengers smiled now. Some nodded, respectfully. The man across the aisle leaned over. "Thank you for your service," he said quietly. Marcus nodded back. "Thank you." Ava looked up at him. "Daddy, why didn't you tell anyone?" He thought for a moment. "Because being seen shouldn't depend on being impressive," he said gently. People should matter before their titles. She smiled. I think you're impressive. He laughed softly. That's enough for me. Later, as the sun dipped below the clouds, Ava fell asleep on his shoulder. Marcus looked out the window, remembering nights alone after missions, holding her crying baby, wondering if he was enough. Today reminded him he was, not because of a uniform dot, not because of a call sign, but because of who he chose to be when no one was watching. And the lesson echoed through the cabin long after the applause faded. Never overlook someone because they sit quietly in the background. You don't know the battles they've fought, the sacrifices they've made, or the legacy they carry. True greatness doesn't demand attention, reveals itself when respect finally catches up.